hello. Welcome. So we're live, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. So welcome. Today is September 16. My name is Larry Villegas Perez. Everybody knows me as Larry VP, and I am accompanied this afternoon by a group of awesome uh, professionals, colleagues, people from the community, activists, politicians, communicators, etc., etc., etc. So we are about to run a talk on LGBT matters and allies because it is the time to work together. It is the time to get organized so we can all move forward and move forward our communities as well. First of all, I want to say thank you to Ricardo, because Ricardo Villalba, who runs Washington Media, for his ability to bring us all together with such color and enthusiasm. So, Ricardo, thank you, thank you, thank you very much for your support. Yeah.
No problem. I'm going to leave now. Thank you guys and have a wonderful evening. I'm going to be monitoring everything. So,
Thank you, Ricardo, again. So,
well,
we are accompanied this afternoon by June Crenshaw, by Jose Gutierrez, Pedro Biaggi, Taylor Chandler, and Monica Palacio. As you all know, Monica Palacio, the former director of the Office of Human Rights and 30-year DC resident, a mom, a civil rights lawyer, and a woman all around, has been very supportive to the LGBT community since her work in Washington, D.C., everywhere. But now she took the time to say, okay, I am going to run for a seat at large in Washington, D.C. So we're here to let you know some of the issues that you probably already know, but it is time to bring some solutions and ideas to the table so you can also hear them and be prepared, because as the Washington Post, mentioned you as one of the candidates with the highest chance to get that seat, I want to talk to you before you get there, right? So, with that said, I would like all of you to have a 30-second or so time to introduce yourself, to let the rest of the world know who you are. And I'm going to start with uh, June, and then Tyler, and then Pedro, Jose, and then I'll take back with Monica.
Thank you, Larry, and thank you, Monica, for this opportunity to talk with you. My name is June Crenshaw. I am the executive director of the Wanda Alston Foundation. We provide 18 months of shelter to LGBTQ youth that are experiencing homelessness in one of our facilities located in Ward 7. And we provide up to 6 years of shelter to LGBTQ youth, especially those that are experiencing acute levels of trauma or mental health challenges, up to 6 years of shelter. And we also provide full wraparound services in facility case management, connection to medical care, mental health care, connection to jobs and education. I'm thrilled to be here because there are a lot of vulnerable individuals in our community, and I'd love to have a conversation around how we take care of our fragile population and our vulnerable community, but also organizations, take care of those organizations that are really serving our most vulnerable population. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you. And my pronouns are she, her, and hers.
Thank you, thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Taylor Leanne Chandler. My pronouns are she, her, hers as well. I am the transgender health coordinator for Us Helping Us, People into Living. We cater to people that are living with HIV as well as PrEP. So those issues are very important to me here in DC, especially, like June said, with very marginalized, vulnerable communities. It's my Black and brown siblings that are the ones that are really having the hardship when it services and sustainable jobs, workplace protections. We're trying to get in the door, and we can't utilize the workplace protections yet because we're not even in the door yet. So it's important for me, Monica, that you know the community very well going into what you're getting into, because we need you to be a voice.
Thank you, yes. Pedrito.
Buenas, good afternoon. My name is Pedro Biaggi, and I am a Puerto Rican guy from Washington, D.C. And my job here is to be useful as a communicator. I love to use my platforms to make a difference. And I'm honored to be here because Monica is one of my peeps, person that I admire, respect, and know since I basically got here. So thank you for the opportunity. I like to be connecting to the community that I belong to, which have not really found the right representation. So I am here, very honored. And Larry, I have a lot of respect for you, my love for you, and I'm honored that you invited me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes. Jose.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jose Gutierrez, and I'm a long-time activist. And recently, I finished my bachelor in psychology, so I'm very happy. I know. And I want to thank you, Monica, for this opportunity and to reach me and reach everybody, our LGBTQ community plus, to hear about our voices. I'm the founder of the DC Latino Pride, the Latino LGBT History Project. And recently, I started the Jose Gutierrez Archives, which we are preserving the history of our Latinx LGBTQ community. And I'm very happy to be here. I'm really concerned for many issues of our DC residents, especially the transgender community. I think we need to work with the jobs for transgenders. I think it's very important to create more like jobs and training for our sisters and brothers. I think also that it's important to work with youth, housing, shelters, and providing also another services like mental health, substance abuse, and also dental and public benefits. So I'm very happy to be here and share with you, any experience with our communities.
Thank you, Jose. I'm glad that you just you jumped in. So as you may know, my name is Larry Villegas Perez, but people know me as Larry VP. I have worked for many years in several organizations here in Washington D.C. My background is in nursing, and being a nurse, I paid for psychology, and then I also included hypnotherapy. So look into my eyes, and you're gonna be a happier person today. So with that said, I want to also introduce and give the space to Monica for her to let us know about what she has done also, and how did you get into running for a large seat, because you were very comfortable or at, in a very secure position, and now you are like the center and everybody's like looking at you.
Right. Well, first, let me say thank you to all of you, because I know your time is precious and you're leaders and you're busy, and COVID takes everybody's peace of mind away. So thank you so much for taking the time to help me be a better ally and for me to learn from you. So my name is Monica Palacio, running for DC Council at Large. And I just want to share a few things about myself. I'm an immigrant. I was born in Bogota, Colombia, came to the US when I was 3. My mother was a pediatric nurse in New York City. So Larry, I love my nurses. And she was my hero because she was one of the first nurses that spoke Spanish in a New York City hospital. So she was a lifeline for families in our poor neighborhood, right? Families didn't have great healthcare or great advocates, but she was an incredible advocate. And she taught me that a life of service is really a life worth living. So I knew when I was very young, I couldn't do medicine because I'm very squeamish, but I decided that books and words would be my tools. And I fought really hard. I saved my money, I went to college, and I got into law school and came to Washington, DC. So for 30 years, as Larry mentioned, I'm a civil rights lawyer. I've been an advocate, an activist, a community organizer. I've done tons of work, both with returning citizens, faith minority groups, combating Islamophobia, working with LGBTQ communities across the city. And many of you know me from that work at the Office of Human Rights. So it's really my privilege, my honor. Yes, I did leave my comfortable position. You know what? Because comfort is overrated. It's overrated. What we need is challenge, energy, life, excitement. And I've grown so much this year that truly I feel unstoppable. So I'll stop now, and I'm here to listen. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you very much. And this is so important. I don't know if many of you know, but we are celebrating many things this month, like Hispanic Heritage Month, right? But it's weird because it's like September 15th to October 15th. So, but again, we celebrate every day who we are. At the same time, it's African Heritage Month. But they didn't say if it was just September or the same like Hispanic Heritage Month. So we are celebrating not only that, but also our diversity, the beauty that we bring to the table. Like I see all of us around, and I am blessed and humble, first of all, that we can actually make ourselves available for a whole community to use us and be able to move forward. So yes, kudos to you, Monica, and you are not alone because we will support you because I know you will support our cause and our communities as well. And with that said, I also want to say that it's a very delicate month because there are forces foreign to us, like outside of us, that are trying to erase us, that are trying to destroy us, that are trying to make us be invisible. So one, DACA, not well, DACA people just had a lot of issues regarding, is it going to be approved? Is it going to be extended? What's going to happen? Now also the TPS, people from other countries who are in a temporary protection program are suffering because they just heard that maybe it's going to go away, but the fight still goes. So la pelea es peleando. So the fight is just fighting it. So what I want to say is that, yes, COVID, politics, please register to vote. Everything is coming at us. And we, as people who are frontliners in the community, need to be at calm, peace, and collected to be able to function and help not only our staff, but also the youth that we work with and the community we serve. And with that said, I want to hear briefly what is happening in the agency you work at, or in the program that you are running, or the interventions that you are setting up for the community that you are representing here today. And I'm going to go back to June.
Well, thank you for that question. I think I can incorporate a lot of the comments that several other panelists have already made, and that is around opportunities with jobs. Poverty is what leads all of our youth to homelessness or vulnerable experiences and places in the community, and not, just not having access to proper education, access to jobs that pay a fair living so that they can afford an apartment in DC and afford to purchase groceries and have healthcare and access is really kind of the basis of all of the challenges that most of the youth that come through our program are experiencing. The other thing that they're experiencing is trauma and mental health challenges, or health challenges that prevent them from finding a job and holding on to a job, or getting promoted, or being really supported in a work environment. So I would say one of the big challenges for us is making sure, one, that our agency has the resources that it needs to take care of the really vulnerable youth that come to our facility so that we have the time to nurture and support them, connect them to much needed resources, life-saving resources, and also give them a chance to get on their feet. So our agency needs those resources, but we need resources for the youth. Our programs are time limited and they're not intended forever. And sometimes there's a real challenge for having a pathway to stability. And actually our programs are counter to that in some instances, and really make our youth very vulnerable to government support versus giving viable paying jobs and access to education. And I'd really like to hear from you, Monica, how you would address some of those challenges.
Larry, should I jump in now?
Please, yes.
Okay. So, well, I appreciate that, June. And so one of my first jobs coming out of school in DC was working with youth that were either trying to stay out of gang violence situations or who had been affected by violence personally in their lives, or who just felt very disconnected and didn't have a safe home or a safe family unit. So I think that the investments we make in our youth are absolutely vital. But the problem is, like you said, they expire, right? We say we're going to do this for 8 months or 12 months or 16 months. And that's not enough time to help somebody rebuild their life. It's not enough time to get them ready to be self-sustaining, right? It's just not enough time for them to do the healing work. Many of us have spent an entire lifetime trying to be the best person we can be, right? But we expect young people to figure that out in 6 months. And that's just not enough time. So we need longer term programs. And it breaks my heart when I was doing my listening sessions with the transgender community a couple of years ago, to hear that, once you're 21, 22, 24, you age out, you're supposed to be out on your own. And that's not enough time either. So we need to have programs that give young adults more workforce development training, healthcare, right? Life management skills, and also a safe space to heal and grow and rebuild themselves. So I would make that one of my highest priorities, is to make sure that we can invest the resources into longer term programming.
And I'm glad that you're saying that, first, that you asked the question, June, and that you said that answer, because June and I have been in many networks of housing for years in Washington, D.C. And I am glad that the government is listening to, it is not just 6 months, it cannot be 12 months, because we are about to get into the 7th month of this pandemic, and a lot of people are going to lose many of the benefits that they have. So Taylor, can you also share your experience regarding like your program and how it's going now, and some things that are important to bring to the table?
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, all of you. It's like June said, the organizations that are doing the work in DC, we have to operate almost like grassroots. Black-led organizations are like the bottom on the list getting funding, and we're the ones doing the work. At this point, it truly is about sustainable work. We need to take youth, as well as people that are older that have maybe a 30% skill set, and give them that other 70. We're way past resume building. We need to really invest in our youth. The poverty level is intense. We're all about testing for HIV in the district, but what about mental health? To me, mental health and a place to live are so key. And that's the reason we stay at about 18,000 people a year dying from HIV, because we don't overcome homelessness and sustainable work and mental health. These things lead to that. There's a lot of money on the table in DC that doesn't go to our organizations to do the work we need to do every single year. And we all do the work, There's so many people at risk. It takes a village. It takes Wanda Alston House. It takes Casa Ruby. It takes Smile. It takes us helping us. It takes someone like Jose really embracing and telling the truth of our history, the good, the bad, the ugly. But I'd really like to see us go forward and be more productive in both our youth and our elders. People didn't think that trans women of color would live this long. And we are living into our 40s, our 50s, our 60s, our 70s. What do? We were still young, interrupted from education, thrown out of a home. We still need resources, even as elders. And I think we forget about that sometimes.
Thank you. I think that it is very important that we're mentioning different pieces of the whole person. And I'm just thinking about the gingerbread person. One of the biggest issues that I have heard and experienced working with, for example, youth and transgender people, especially transgender people of color, is everybody's trying to address one need at a time, either housing or jobs or mental health. But it is very difficult to have the whole person treated because it takes time, it takes coordination, and then it may take funding from one department to give it to the other one, and then that creates another competition. So I know that, Jose, you have been a founder of so many things in this town. I cannot even tell. I was going to actually put like, who is everybody in the talk? And then when I went to you, I said founder. Oh no, the list too long. Okay, so no title for anybody. So you have been, when I was here a student at Women Walker Clinic, a volunteer, you were already routing, the streets of Washington, D.C. So I appreciate and respect your strength for all these years because you have been an example to me too. And we're both Capricorns, so power to
Thank
Capricorn.
you.
Yes.
Thank you, Gary. Yes, I do remember we used to work with Whitman Walker when Jessica Xavier, she do the research for our transgender community in DC. Thank you very much. But one of the things that I think that we need, Monica, in DC, we need to increase the funding for our LGBTQ programs in general. I think the DC council members and the DC government, they should give more money to all the agencies, including the DC Center and including another agencies, that they can provide support to another organizations. I think if we increment, the funds or the money for our LGBTQ community in general, most of our agencies are going to be really happy. I mean, working with money, working with funds. I think, again, it's important to create programs to support our transgender community. I do remember a couple years ago, we have one program specific helping and supporting our transgender community, giving support, creating trainings to get a job, to go to interviews. And I think we need to support that program. I don't remember the name right now, but I do remember that the program was very effective because they can give training and they can give support to our transgender community. I think it's important also to support our youth community and all the agencies. The work that they're doing with our youth is tremendous. Casa Ruby and Wanda, June is doing a wonderful job, and Tyler and everybody. I think the seniors too, our seniors LGBTQ community, they need support. And I want to mention, because I have a friend of mine who is doing a wonderful job with our senior community. is Dr. Imani. She's
Dr. Imani Woody?
yes.
Yeah, she's fabulous.
Yeah, I think her program is wonderful, Monica, because Mary's House is providing support to our seniors LGBTQ community. And but basically I have these issues, support our transgender community, the youth, and the seniors community.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you. So I wanted to actually, I'm glad that you said that, Jose, because during my work with several organizations in DC and lastly with Casa Ruby, I remember we always came to the table with the government to, yes, we are helping youth that are 18 to 24. By their 25th year, there has to be a plan to exit and become uh, um, independent. Now there are programs that are a little longer, but still there is a gap between those who are 25 and 30. And the housing authority and the housing programs in DC and the agencies know that that is a reality. But there is still not enough money to say what is going to happen for people who are 25 and older, who are LGBT, who are still victims of trauma, violence, abuse, neglect, etc., and are homeless. And that goes way up to those who are in the 60s and 70s, because at the shelter at Casa Ruby, we have seen people of all ages. Now,
Larry, can I say something very fast? Can I say something very
absolutely.
quick?
Yeah.
The reason that I say also seniors, including, is because last year, two of my closest friends, they passed away. And Dr. Imani helped me to get a Medicare and work with Medicaid. And this year, another two seniors passed away too. So, we need to work with you. We need to work with our transgender community. And also, we need to also include our seniors, LGBTQ people.
Absolutely. We have examples, and I am not going to say names, about the how some people are not being treated correctly, how some people are being tricked into misbehaving, so they get kicked out of programs, they get kicked out of shelters, they get kicked out of care. We have the example of the, I would say, transgender, because that's how she presented herself most of the time, woman who used to live on 17th Street, on the streets, had a substance use problem, but it became, oh, this is such and such, everybody knows who she is, there is nothing we can do. And year after year after year, now she died, and everybody misses her. But then, how many people actually work with her to treat mental health, substance use, etc., etc.? So we cannot wait for our youth to become 30, 40, or 50 to be the ones that are going to see on the streets, I remember her, or I remember him, or I remember them. So if that is what we're trying to do as a message of working together, Pedro, what do you think in your expertise as a communicator that we can actually sell the message? And I'm using the word sell in the looser sense of the word, to get the buy-in of the whole community. And by the way, we don't represent the whole community. There are plenty of people not represented here, but we bring little by little so we can make the conglomerate much bigger later on. So, Pedro, my question is, how can we prepare a message, or what would we need to do to be able to actually make everybody aware and raise, not only awareness but also call to action? I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to ask, but I know that we all have something that we're bringing to the table, and we need to communicate it with others who may not be listening.
Yes. I got your question, and I feel your question because I live through it every day. As a communicator and as a person that has a platform that I can be useful to people with with the information that really matters to us, I want to acknowledge that this is the very first time in my life, in my professional career that I would say publicly or openly like this about my sexuality, because I have never have to use my sexuality for anything. My sexuality has nothing to do with who I am and what I've become in my life. But I am a very proud gay man. You know that my family loves me. They adore me. I have friends that care for me, that I care for. And I'm honored, Larry, that through this venue and with Jose Gutierrez, who a legendary man in this community that I met the very first parade that I did in the city 15 years ago. And he came to me and I was like, I remember you so like it was yesterday, because you are such a special human being. You are a true leader, and I need your leadership to unite us. You know, we are very divided as a community. Is the transgender and the gay? Why are we so divided? That's a question that I have. What can we do to unite us? What can we do to truly blend and stop, judging on one side to the other? I do come from that generation that eventually we just didn't want to be bothered because we have too much to do we have too much to overcome. But things have changed and we need to unite. What can we do? Maybe we need to bring God into the equation. Maybe we need to bring spirituality. We need to really get in touch with with emotions and spirituality to change this way of behavior. We cannot pretend to be leaders of the community for the heck of it, for the look of it, for the lifestyle of it. You have to really be there for the people when they need you. You cannot pretend to be the people's person, and the moment somebody needs you, you disappear because you're too glamorous and you're living your life, and the gays and the trans are divided. I would appreciate if we can come together and create a real situation from the bottom up where we become a community. What is the LGBT thing? All those letters are separated. I don't see that trend between those letters. I am in those letters, and sometimes I don't see what letter is next to me, and I feel pretty much judged by all the letters involved. And I would just love, through the grace of God, really, because what other way? Who are they and who are we? Why could we be so different? What is the language that we speak? What is it that we don't collectively, all of us, understand at the same time? What do we need? So humbly, I would ask for your leadership. Monica, I know I can count on you, and I'm looking for the representation that I need to be myself, not to pretend or to hide behind anything. I have never had to acknowledge that I'm a gay man, but today I am very proud to say who I am and what I would like to accomplish.
So listen.
Pedro, you can't see me, but I have tears in my eyes because I love you so much. I'm so proud of you and everything you've achieved. And, I really love you like a brother. So thank you for taking this space with us today to so proudly tell us who you are.
I'm honored.
So it is interesting. And I'm going to just, bring a little light touch to what you just did, Pedro, because what's the one who asked the question to Ricky Martin?
Barbara Walters.
Barbara Walters did it for Ricky Martin. I did it for Pedro Biaggi.
Thank you. Don't get it twisted. I did not come out of the closet.
Oh, I know. But listen, you just touched on a point that is very, very important. I'm looking around these cameras, and we have a lot of privilege because we went to school, we finished our careers, we have our jobs, we are, entrepreneurs, we are helping others. And it is impossible to say that we represent the whole community.
Yes.
Now, June, when youth come out of your program, would you say that they are ready, willing, and able to actually engage, fully as a citizen in the community? And if not, what kind of conversations do you think that we can have with the government and with other politicians to say, listen, we need help because this is not working out the way we thought it would?
I think that's an absolutely excellent question, and one that we grapple with a lot ourselves internally. Whether our program is really having a measurable impact on our youth and the vulnerable youth that we serve. And what I will say is that our organization is about average with other organizations similar to us as far as our success rate is concerned. But the true measure of whether we are doing a good job is whether our youth are successful and what their success is sustainable. And what I will say is that the programming, my impression of the programming in DC does not make for successful completion of a program that then puts you at a job where you can afford to live in DC, rent an apartment, get a job, a car, and engage in the community fully. And so we do have some real opportunities to fill the gap between homelessness and sustainability as far as programming is concerned. And so there's work to be done with us and our agency and collaborating with other agencies and the government on making sure that we're doing right by our youth, and that we are not losing our youth because they're falling through the cracks of programs that don't meet their needs, or falling through the cracks of systems that are really not built to support them. And we need to do better. The other point that I would like to make is that the agencies that are around this table and some that are not here, Casa Ruby, Smile, Us Helping Us, the Wanda Alston Health Foundation, we also employ LGBTQ folks. And so we are the employers of individuals that need more support than the average employee because of some of our life challenges and experiences, and discrimination. And like Taylor mentioned, that our growth and our education has been interrupted. And so the agencies that employ or have a mission to make sure that we are hiring from the community that we serve and the community that we identify with is a really important mission to have. And that takes resources as well and money as well. And oftentimes we don't get acknowledged for the fact that we do employ our own and make sure that we are not only serving youth, but we are employing other LGBTQ folks to make sure that they don't become vulnerable themselves.
Absolutely. And it brings me to the next point is like, how can we make sure that the whole community is involved? And Monica, I believe it is indispensable that as soon as we start like coming out of this, that we start making real partnerships between the private sector and the nonprofit sector. Everybody who is around us helping us should be a partner. Everybody who is around Wanda Austin Foundation should be a partner. Every institution working on history should be a part of Jose Gutierrez History Project and all the other projects that he ran before. Why? Because at the end, the government is interested in having productive people who pay taxes, right? So it is in the best interest of the government and society in general that all those young people, right, that are coming out of these programs have all the opportunities, the preparation, and the mental health strength, resilience, and motivation to actually keep going. I just had not too long ago 2 people who reached out to me who did not know that I was not at Casa Ruby anymore. So they say, "Oh, Mr. Larry, do you have any updates on housing?" A lady that is like on her like I don't know like 50s or so, and I said, "Dear, I am not there anymore, but you can reach out to this person, this person, this person." And then I was like, "Oh," when she said, "Mr. Larry, nobody helped me like you did because you showed me that you care, even if you don't look like me."
Hmm.
And just one second. And it is important that we don't have to look like other people to be ready, willing, and able to help. We just need to care
Yes.
because we're all in this together. Yes, it's a pandemic and it makes us a little more vulnerable physically, emotionally, etc. But it is time for all of us to come to the table and make sure that arm in arm, like the NFL people did last week, and move forward together, because then we would be a massive force, unstoppable. So the youth won't suffer. The those who try to commit suicide, because this is also a suicide prevention month. So my God, the calendar is like overloaded, but there are so many issues. So it is important that we support the children, the youth, ourselves first with the oxygen, so then we can help the others, right? So with that said, Taylor, what do you think that is also needed from those who are receiving services from um, us helping us to actually be able to say, okay, I'm graduating from this program and I'm ready to move forward, or I'm ready to open my own agency? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, first and foremost, we need more programs. There needs to be more money every day of the week. You know, I do recognize my privilege being white. I don't need help, but I use the color of my skin to get into doors to make people uncomfortable and realize that all lives do matter, but right now, Black lives matter the most. Someone did an example. There's 10 houses. They're all worth something, but one of them's on fire. So which house do you go help? You help the one that's on fire. It doesn't mean the other houses don't need protection and help and upkeep. It just means that one needs a little extra. And I think people don't understand that. We put so much funding, I'm going to go there, into policing our people. We put so much funding into government and laws. People have a misconception when it comes to police that they're there to serve and protect them. No, they're there to enforce the law. Laws that are unfair, that are oppressive, that were built on the backs of slavery. We need to take that money and reinvest it in the communities that need it most. Washington, D.C. brings a lot of different people together, but at the end of the day, it's a chocolate city. And it needs to be respected for that. And we need to invest in that culture, that rich, rich culture and history. And we are all doing the work, but there's a million other people that want to do the work that are just not getting the funding. They're not getting a platform or an outlet. A lot of our youth are so ready to step up to the plate and speak for themselves, to ask for what they need. They know what they need, and we're not giving it to them. We're giving it to them piecemeal. You know, the money that we spend in all these other areas could be so much better served back into our communities. I saw the other night that someone was, instead of sending the police to a domestic violence call, they were sending caseworkers, someone trained to de-escalate, diffuse a situation, not come in with guns and make it worse. We live in a city where we don't trust the police, especially my Black and brown siblings. We have a long way to go. They're not there to protect everybody. And that's something we very rarely talk about, but it's the truth. And, you know, Victory Fund is all about promoting LGBTQ representation across the country. But if you look at their board and the people at all their events, they're white. Where is our Black youth? Where's our Black voices? Where's our Spanish voices, our immigrant voices? You know, I can say stuff till I'm blue in the face, but at the end of the day, I'm white. It makes more of a difference when you hear it from the source. I'd like you to be that source, Monica. I think you have the background. I know you have the background with human rights to know that we're all equal. We deserve rights. We deserve to not be erased. It's not about testing us for HIV every day. It's about giving us the ability to live every day.
That's right, Chandler. You said it beautifully. And I don't be fooled by my law degree and my cute jacket, okay? I'm a street fighter. So if somebody's coming for anybody, they got to go through me. Number one. Number two, I love what you said about prioritizing Black lives. That's absolutely right. And I also want to fight for Black-brown unity and unity across the city, because people are like, well, DC is so segregated, so polarized, and then they go home and, they do nothing. We need to get out on the street and talk to each other and look out for each other and make sure people are doing okay. The isolation that people are experiencing, the fear, the anguish, the terror, it's all very real right now. It's about to get worse, folks. Like, we're done with it would be nice. We are now going into code red emergency mode because we've leveled out in terms of, fixing up, doing damage control with COVID, but families are going to be evicted. My platform is about saving lives and protecting families, protecting individuals who are already struggling to survive. We need to invest in keeping people in the little homes that they have, in the apartments, in the houses, whatever they might be, and funding programs like all of yours that are critical. They're a lifeline. They're absolutely a lifeline. We need to make sure our schools are not punishing our LGBTQ youth or punishing our Black and brown youth or our low-income families. Schools need to become an emergency room right now. Teachers have told me parents, students need help, right? School is the one government entity that a lot of young people have to be in touch with no matter what, right? Let's make schools safer. So those are just some of my points to your points, Chandler and June and everyone. But Larry, let me turn it back to you. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking.
It's okay. So it is interesting. This is one of the conversations that we have had that have brought to the table so many like real issues. And I'm going to do my best to make sure that from the mayor down, everybody looks at this video, not because of who we are, but what we say and who we represent and who we want to help and who needs services still. So like you said, Monica, yes. And one of the reasons why I use specifically and strategically the word allies is because we need to be allies to each other as well, like Pedro said. I need to be the ally of June. June need to be my ally. Taylor's, Jose's, Pedro's, Monica. Because let me tell you this. When I was sick with COVID and it was a long recovery and I am blessed to have all the people who helped me. So for a moment, I drank the Kool-Aid. I thought that, oh, everybody's so nice. All those issues are disappearing and everybody's so cool. And, there's no more need for LGBT and separation and this. But I was crazy because I had COVID. Once I started to get out of it, I was like, oh, hell no. This is like worse. It's getting worse because now it's racial tension, it's this against that one, it's government, it's police, it's people, it's federal, it's the White House, what is it? And then I started waking up and I said the only way to move is forward. There is no time to rest. There is no time to think of what we can do. Let's fix it as we walk. Let's fix it as we work on it. And I'm going to tell you this. I am absolutely, like all of you, committed to being at any table that is necessary. From the White House, I don't care, to the mayor, to whoever, to make sure that we are heard and that we can actually get the resources we need, because at the end of the day, everybody needs to eat. And then those youth need to be supported so we can absolutely provide mental health services, employment services, and all kinds of services they may need. I know that we are about to get into like the last 10 minutes of this call, and I really would like all of you to make a final call of action. What would help your movement, your organization, so we can all hear it, make it like a salad, okay? And then make it more flavorful. Yeah, because I hate the melting pot. People criticize me because of the salad, because salad we are. There is no salad with just lettuce. We need everything. So I would like you to take a minute or so to make that last, for now, a call of action to help those you are represented today. Because, like I said, you don't represent everybody, but we're bringing people to the table little by little. And I'm going back to you, June, again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this. So I would make a final pitch on making sure that financially fragile organizations that are doing the vital work in the LGBTQ community are supported, are elevated, have the capacity building and the connection to resources to do the amazing missions that they're connected to, and that they are given the bandwidth to really serve the population. I would employ us to be talking, like Taylor has mentioned several times, to be talking about mental health, to be talking about trauma, to be healing our community and bringing our community together. And although I do appreciate the space that is created for Black and Brown individuals to do this work, we did not create this racist system, and it is not our responsibility to break it down. It was created not to serve us and not to support us, and it should not be the expectation that Black and Brown bodies will dismantle the systemic racism that is embedded in every program there is. That means that white people need to stand up and speak up and dismantle the programs that they've created to hold down a whole population of individuals. So my call to action is for white people to speak up, to start working toward making sure that they dismantle this system, that we are creating real programs that support real people that need them. And I'm so glad that we're having this conversation. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, June. It is interesting. I like that because, like, sometimes I don't have to educate you. You have to go and educate yourself. So if you set up this system to destroy me, you are the one who needs to work to actually dismantle it. So thank you for that call. Because sometimes we think that it's also our responsibility to go take care of the problem that somebody else created. So yes. So Taylor.
To piggyback on that, we need to vote. We need to vote change. So oftentimes, transgender, gender nonconforming, and non-binary people do not vote because of dead names, or the oppression that's faced the Black community for years is now facing them. We need to vote a difference. We need the Equality Act. It's not enough to not be racist. You have to be anti-racist. You have to, like June said, speak up. You can't say, if I hear one more person tell me how many Black friends they have, I'm going to scream. That is a concept that is still happening today. I work for a Black-led organization, and I'm privileged to work there. I am part of the LGBTQ community. I identify as intersex and transgender. And I want a different world for the youth. I don't want youth to go through what I went through. I don't want Black trans women to have survival sex work be a rite of passage. I want them to have options. They may want to do that, and there's nothing wrong with it, but I want them to have options. We need to educate people. Bless you. And education is the only way this is going to change. We can't just put Band-Aids on bullet wounds. We need to give people the tools they need to survive. And we're not doing that. And like June said, It is nobody black or brown's job to educate people. No history. It's not what we were taught in school. You're seeing history unravel at its very core right now in this country. And we have an administration that's doing everything in its power to cover up the truth. So I implore all of you, everybody listening, your voice is your vote.
And go vote.
Go vote.
Jose.
First of all, I want to say thank you to Monica. Thank you, Monica, because I mean the fact to being here and that you get energy to hear our concerns, our ideas, our advice, our needs. That is said a lot about you. Thank you for this opportunity. I know Monica for a long time, and we used to work together, and I refer a lot of clients when she was a director of the human rights. And then a few months ago, when she made the open house in her home and hear her speech and talking about the needs and how can she help us. So I'm very happy, Monica, and I think again to try to work together to increase the funding for our LGBTQ community in the DC area, to help our youth, to help our transgender community again, trying to get a job, trying to get trainings, and helping other needs. It's a lot of needs, and we need to talk about it. We need to support that. We need to work with our seniors too. So I'm very happy, and again, when Monica, she organized the open house, and we went to her home, and she
This was before COVID.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, before COVID-19. That was wonderful, to hear her speech and the support to our community. So thank you. I really thank you for this opportunity, because at least we let you know about our concerns and our needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. So, Pedro, I'm going to give you a minute and a minute to Monica, because I know that you are like about to rush to another meeting.
My call to action. I'm going to take advantage of this moment that I'm surrounded with such talent, beauty, education, and leadership. Today's daily word is pray for others. I will beg you to please pray for the 300,000 people that right now know that they have to leave this country in January, los Tepecianos. We need to really put our focus on that. And I want to pray for the people in our community that today are going through the many things that we go through in life. I would like my call to action in this minute is pray. Help us. Let's, at the same way we create this circle, can we create a circle of prayer?
Yeah. Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pedro. Thank you, everyone. I'm deeply grateful for this wonderful, wonderful circle we had today. And I'll just say a few closing things. I am an ally for life, bulletproof for everyone. Because as an immigrant, I know what it's like not to have family and not to have people close by. And the LGBTQ communities have always been a family to me. So you're my family forever. And I don't just, talk pretty, but I will deliver on my promises to make sure we have more funding, more support, more resources, and better outcomes, right? Because we can throw money at a problem, but unless there are outcomes, we're not going to solve the problem. So with that, I ask everyone who's listening to us tonight to please go to my website, monicafordc.com. I'm the first Latina in the city's history to run for a council position. It's been tough. I have, fought tooth and nail to stay in this race, to raise the money to be part of the public campaign financing program. So if you can donate $5, $10, $20, that money immediately gets multiplied by 5. And it's an incredible investment in our democracy. We need everyone's voice heard. We need everyone's vote counted. Please make sure if you need help figuring out how to vote this November, contact me. at monica@monicafordc.com. That's monica@monica4dc.com, and we'll help you. So everyone, Larry, thank you for this wonderful panel and all the work you do. Everyone, you're amazing. You're my heroes. And I want to say that I hope that we can keep doing this all the time. So love you all.
Love you.
Thank
you.
I know we're all busy people. Imagine June and Taylor, if every dollar that people donated to your organization would multiply by 5 as well. So let's work on a campaign, multiply by 5, and start it here. So let's continue this conversation. Thank you to all that tune in. Thank you to all of you, June, Pedro, Jose, Tyler, all of you, Monica. God bless us all. And please remember to vote early.
Yes.
So thank
This
you.
is the
Have a
DC
good
I
evening.
love.
As a civil rights lawyer, a government leader, and a mother, I'm the most qualified candidate in this race. And it's about time that we elect an immigrant and a Latina to the DC Council. My name is Monica Palacio, and I'm running to win the at-large seat on the DC Council this November.
I've lived and worked in DC for the last 30 years, and I've dedicated my career to public service. For 6 years, I served as the director of the DC Office of Human Rights, and I know what it takes to bring unity and solidarity to our city. I led my team to investigate civil rights violations, and we enforce the laws that protect our most vulnerable communities. Now is the time to attack systemic racism at its roots, and I'm the candidate who can get the job done. We must transform government systems that don't work and pass the right laws. Laws that deliver on the needs of our schools, tackle our housing crisis, reform law enforcement, and much more. I know we can be a model city for the nation, where people from all backgrounds live respectfully side by side, where African American neighbors feel safe at the hands of their government, and where immigrant communities can work without fear.
My campaign is a call to action, and I'm asking for your donation today to help me win this election in November. I'm only taking small dollar contributions, but every dollar is matched 5-to-1 through DC's public campaign financing. I know you want a leader who can get the job done, so please donate today.
Visit my website to make your donation and to learn more about our campaign.